Veda Nipunam Shirupa Pantanugam Govinda Vidamujvalam Varatanam Bhaktyamritam Sundaram Vande Vishwaguruncha Divya Bhagavat Primno Ibachapradam Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Trise Namaha. Okay, so we are continuing this morning with our hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yesterday we were hearing some descriptions of the qualities of the beginner, middle, and highest class devotees. And we'll continue from there. Sarvamaha Gungan Vaishnava Shodhire Krishna Bhakte Krishna Gun Sakale Sanchade. A Vaishnava is one who has developed all good transcendental qualities. All the good qualities of Krishna gradually develop in Krishna's devotees. Yasyasti Bhakti Bhagavatya Kinchana Sarver Gunaista Cha Samasate Sura Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna Manora Tenasati Davato Pahi. This is a famous verse from Bhagavatam. Oh, and it's actually spoken by, it says spoken by Prahlad Maharaj and his followers who were offering prayers to Nrsingadev. But this is a well-known verse, which we hear quoted by gurus, by Gurudev, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, also Swami Maharaj, he liked this verse. In one who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna, all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods are consistently manifest. However, one who has no devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no good qualifications because he is engaged by mental concoction in material existence, which is the external feature of the Lord. So this can be a difficult point, for persons to understand. Now, how can it be said that non-devotees have no good qualifications? How is that possible? One could say, well, I know many persons who are not devotees of Krishna, and they have very nice qualities. They're humble, they're truthful, they are hardworking, so on and so forth. They're charitable. So how can it be said here in Srimad Bhagavatam? How can Bhagavatam make such a bold statement? and it is a difficult point to understand, but the reasoning is that whatever good qualities a worldly person may have, they are in connection with this world of illusion. Their goodness is based on a false conception of life, So therefore it doesn't have any permanent value. It has some temporary value in a relative sense. But it is disconnected with the true nature of reality, the true nature of the self. So, at the most, it is in sattva gun. It is in the mode of goodness, but that is still within the jurisdiction of this worldly plane. So, no doubt we can, and it's also something for us to remember, because it's easy to become overly appreciative of these things, of overly focused on sattvic qualities and sattvic behavior, And no doubt we have some appreciation. No doubt we have appreciation for sattvic qualities, because they do offer a good platform on which to begin spiritual practice. they are the most, so out of all the modes of material nature, the mode of goodness is the most supportive. And so generally we are encouraged actually to try to live a sattvic lifestyle. But at the same time, we cannot become overly enamored, overly fixated on sattvic practices and qualities, because that is not the end goal. At most, it can be something that supports one's devotional practice, but it is not the end goal. And in and of itself, it has no value at all, nothing. And then it can, if anything, it can actually be something of a danger. Sometimes we hear this expression, the trap of sattva gun, because for one who is very sattvic, it can bring about some pride, and it's actually a finer type of attachment. To give up goodness is more difficult than it is to give up badness. If someone's engaged in sinful activity, it's easy for them to understand this is bad. And it's very clear, I should give this up. If someone has some type of addiction or engaged in immoral behavior, it's very clear to them that they need to, that it's a bad idea. And number one, that will bring about some degree of humility, which will attract mercy. And also, there will be a clear feeling that I need to leave this aside. But when it comes to the mode of goodness, that can cause some pride, which will repel mercy, will not attract mercy. And two, it will be more difficult to see how this needs to be given up. It will be less obvious that this is something undesirable, because apparently it is a very nice and auspicious thing. So it is a more subtle entanglement within this world. So, something that we have to bear in mind. And for that reason, there are different injunctions in the scriptures stating that there's one famous one in Bhagavatam, actually, I can't remember right now, but saying that one should neither engage in praise nor abuse, that both are false. It comes up in Chaitanya Charitamrita. One should neither praise nor abuse. And for this reason, because whatever qualities may be considered praiseworthy or worthy of criticism, they're all based on a false platform of life. So therefore, there should be some degree of neutrality, in connection with the worldly plane. There should be some degree of neutrality. There shouldn't be a judgment on someone who's a criminal and someone who's a philanthropist. If someone has some attraction for the absolute flow, for the central current, then whatever they were, or whatever they are in connection with the material plane should be overlooked, should not be considered. We want to focus upon their appreciation for the nirgun side, for the transcendental side. However, when it comes to appreciation for the devotees, it is different, because actually our movement is based on appreciation. Kirtan means to glorify, right? To praise, to appreciate. So our whole movement is based on glorification. But that is something different, because that is based upon qualities, characteristics which have arisen in connection with divinity, which are if we see qualities manifesting in the devotees, we will appreciate that this is a result of their devotion. This is a result of the Lord's grace upon them. Or if we are appreciating Guru and superior Vaishnavas, again, that is something wholly in connection with the Nirgun plane. It's not that we are appreciating some material qualities and are on a material platform. So then also we want to, in our appreciation of the devotees, we want to, I think I might have said that already, but in our, we will try not to be too much impressed by, the material qualifications. Oh, so-and-so went to Harvard University, or so-and-so has such good manners, or they're so beautiful, or they're so wealthy, or, on some level we'll have some degree of appreciation because these things, they give, if nothing else, they give some dignity to our mission. But we will be cautious, in being overly enamored by those things. Rather, we want to see their enthusiasm, their dedication, their sincerity, and we want to see the service that they carry out, not a demonstration of expertise or skill, but an expression of devotion. We will try to see in that way. So, these are some of the fine points we have to keep in mind in our service lives. Okay. Se sab gun hoy Vaishnav lakhan, sab kaha na jai kori digda dashan. All these transcendental qualities are the characteristics of pure Vaishnavas, and they cannot be fully explained, but I shall try to point out some of the important qualities. So now we have a list here, which is a nice meditation. Kripalu akrita doha satya sarsam nidoshvadanya vidu shuchiya kinchan sarvo pakaraka shanta krishnaika shadan akamani hostir vijita shadgun mitabu kapramata manada mani gambir karuna maitra kavida kamanmoni. Devotees are always merciful. Devotees are always merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild, and clean. They are without material possessions, and they perform welfare work for everyone. They are peaceful, surrendered to Krishna, and desireless. They are indifferent to material acquisitions and are fixed in devotional service. They completely control the 6 bad qualities, lust, anger, greed, and so forth. They eat only as much as required, and they are not inebriated. They are respectful, grave, compassionate, and without false prestige. They are friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. And this silent, it is explained elsewhere. I'm trying to remember where. Maybe it's in one of Swami Maharaj's purports in Upadeshamrita. But there's this explanation that silent means in connection with material subject matters. But they may be very vocal in discussion of Krishna.
And also, self-contained, when you're a worldly person, you're always trying to impose yourself constantly. But then the Vaishnavas, more signals, less noise.
Now we have quotation from Bhagavatam. Titikshava karunika suhrida sarvadehinam ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhubhushana. Devotees are always tolerant, forbearing, and very merciful. They are the well-wishers of every living entity. They follow the scriptural injunctions, and because they have no enemies, they are very peaceful. These are the decorations of devotees. And this point is an interesting point, that they have no enemies, because, what does that mean? Does that mean there won't be people in the world who are inimical to them? No, it doesn't. But it means they won't have that mentality. Somebody else may consider them an enemy, but they won't have that mentality. And we saw that with Gurudev. He was, there were persons who were unfriendly to him, and he was indifferent to that and maintained a mood of magnanimity towards them. There was this one occasion, Swarnangi, she told me this story, that it was Gurudev, one year was Gurudev's, she was in India with Gurudev for his Vyasa Puja, and there was a sannyasi visiting, and he may have been one of, there was a particular group who they followed Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but after Srila Sridhar Maharaj left, they were not able to accept Gurudev, as you all know, no doubt. And they caused some trouble for Gurudev. He may have been a part of that group, I'm not sure. But in any case, he came to stay at the Mat for a few days, and it happened to be during this period when it was Gurudev's Vyasa Puja, but he wasn't coming to see Gurudev. And he didn't go to give obeisances to Gurudev. And even on his Vyasa Puja day, there was a grand celebration held in the Nat Mandir. And everyone's coming and offering their worship, but he didn't come, didn't come once to give respect. And, of course, Gurudev, wasn't disturbed at all, but many of the devotees were quite upset. So the following morning, when there was a group of devotees sitting with Gurudev in his room, some discussion broke out amongst them, and the devotees were saying how upset they were, that this man didn't have the decency, at least on Gurudev's Vyasa Puja, to come and, at least give some obeisance, offer some respect or something. And Gurudev was very sober, and they were having this discussion in front of Gurudev. And then Gurudev commented, he said, it is the unfortunate person who cannot accept my affection. It is the unfortunate person who cannot accept my affection. And Swarnangi told me everyone was just completely shocked. The whole room was silenced. Because he took it to a completely different level. They were thinking in terms of honor and respect. And Gurudev wasn't even thinking about that. He was just thinking about heart exchange. He was just thinking about exchange of affection. He wasn't thinking in this material way, I'm an acharya, he should come and give respect to me, or he could have even just said, I don't need respect from anyone. He just took it to a completely different level beyond any consideration of respect or disrespect. He just took it to a heart plane, and expressing some sadness, I would like to have some affectionate, friendly exchange with him, but he's not interested in that. Amazing, just amazing. So, that person no doubt had some type of issue with Gurudev, or at least some level of disrespect. But Gurudev was completely beyond that. It's an expression of Maya. It creates this divisive tendency, and it causes this mentality, enemies, and to see things in terms of enemies and friends. The mind works in this way. accept, reject, right? These are the two principal functions of the mind. So we will begin to, the mind likes to associate people. Oh, this person did that to me, enemy. This person did this for me, friend. And the mind, calculates in this way. And it's something we have to keep aware of, we have to, because if we start to subscribe to that, then we get cornered, we become slaves of this mental tendency. And the more that we act upon that, and the more that it gets, becomes more, we'll begin to identify with that more and more, and reinforce, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, we just kind of have to see this thing playing out and overlook it, don't act on it.
Also, one of the things I found a bit difficult was, obviously what you're talking about is very, very difficult, but going back a bit with the point about devotees and non-devotees, making that distinction anyway, and the good qualities thing. And I remember with kind of one of the things I had in mind when I was with my kind of Christian upbringing was about trying to see the good in everyone and
Yeah.
see God in everyone. And
Yeah.
there's always this kind of
Yeah, I understand.
gross line that
You're talking about this us and them mentality, the karmis. they're karmis.
But at the same time, like you were saying yesterday, we have to know our limits, be careful, and not be too.
Yeah. I mean, it is I'm glad you brought that up. It is a fine adjustment, because we also don't want to go down that route of us and them. And we're so advanced, and they're all ignorant fools. We don't want that type of arrogance. I mean, the way I would harmonize it, and I feel that the way Gurudev approached it was taking the relative view and the absolute view. So by that I mean, from a relative viewpoint, then we're appreciating the goodness in everyone. So like a Christian or a Muslim or whoever it may be, will appreciate they have faith in God. Will appreciate their good qualities. So that from a relative standpoint, or anyone in the world, we can appreciate some good quality that they have, I mean, Gurudev, looking at, he made that comment about the Ken's Cafe, or the, opposite the Green Street, they sell chicken burgers there or something. I guess you wouldn't know. But they have a sign, I don't remember what. But anyway, they sell it's a fast food place, right? And so there's nowhere to sit, people just come and get their food and go. And Gurudev, he would sit there in his room and look out the window, and with his transcendental vision, he would make different comments about different things he saw, and so one occasion he commented about the people going to Ken's Cafe, how they're so hardworking, they're so busy, they don't have time to sit down.
I remember that.
Really, were you there? What was it that he said? It was like that, yeah. With that really sweet smile of his, The Kanai Lal Prabhu, he told me how this one time, I think they were, Gurudev used to walk up and down that street and visit the market and like that. And there was this one time he was coming back from a walk. Or maybe he just pulled up in his car from somewhere and was getting out. and was like about to go into the temple. And at the same time, there was this massive meat truck that pulled up. And what? You might have heard this song. But and, because right next to our temple there's another like fast food chicken place. So this meat truck was pulling, a big meat truck, and an Indian man got out, the driver, and then he was going to unload the meat to bring into the restaurant or cafe. And so Kanai Lal was completely disgusted. As no doubt I would be. All this meat there inside, and this man, who, must have like a rough nature, to be able to deal with that. And Gurudev, and so Kanai Lal was like kind of tripping out a little bit. And then he saw Gurudev like looked at him and he spoke to the man in Hindi. They had some type of, like Gurudev smiled at him, gave him some friendly, gentle smile, and then said something in Hindi, like, so they had some type of like friendly exchange there. Like, Gurudev was just like connecting with him on a human level, There it wasn't like he was in this judgmental spirit. He was just seeing there's some humanity in him and connecting with him on that level. Gurudev was very, very accommodating in his dealings with other persons in the world. He had that Paramahamsa vision. So we're trying to cultivate that spirit, but at the same time, we cannot wholly live in that consciousness. Otherwise, why are we here? Why are we practicing Krishna consciousness? We need to understand what this is. And so then that's more on the absolute side. From the absolute side, we may see that okay, these qualities that these persons have, they're not, how can we say, they're not in connection with the central truth. They don't have a place within the absolute reality. They only have temporary, let's use the word temporary. They have temporary value. And then another point which can also help us in this regard is to view everyone in terms of potential. That's another point Gurudev has made, that we can respect people on that basis, that everyone has that potential within their heart. So, we would like to think everybody is progressive to some degree or another. In some lifetime or another, a higher seeking tendency may arise within them. So, we're not judgmental. Our mentality is not judgmental, but we do need to have some clear assessment, of what is what and who is who and who and what are we following, So we may appreciate, this is a very honest person. This is a good quality. I can learn from that myself. We can. This is what Paramahamsa Dharma means, that we are extracting the good. So I may meet some local shopkeeper and appreciate their honest dealings and be inspired by that, but I'm not going to bow down and start to follow that person. No, I'm extracting something from there, taking that in my heart, and continuing in my service to Guru and Gauranga. So it is like Srila Saraswati Thakur, he liked this, he made this very nice expression, religion is proper adjustment. That's what a dynamic spiritual life is about, constantly adjusting everything. Seeing everything in its properly adjusted position, in connection with the absolute truth, in connection with Krishna. Is that helpful? Yeah, well, I'm glad you raised that point, because we don't want to fall into that trap. Thinking that we're so superior. We're living on mercy. We're living on grace ourselves. So whatever we have, we will think is not come because of something we deserve. If we're in a better position than others, if we have a better connection, it's not because of, we will not think it is because of our own merit. We will think it is because of mercy. It is because of grace. So it's not that we can go to point the finger or draw a firm line and say, oh, us and them. No, we won't take that attitude. We got some mercy. We got on the boat because we got the mercy rope. And we will also think that it's not that others will be denied that also. Others may also get that. We were hearing the other day, I think it was in Search for Sri Krishna, there's that discussion about, or maybe subjective evolution, I don't remember. There's that discussion about Jesus. And somebody asks Srila Sridhar Maharaj, about Jesus' position within the absolute. Where is he now? Do you think he's a Vaishnava now? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he says, is Jesus denied progress? We will think of Jesus also as being a progressive soul. Is he made some rhetorical question like that. Is he alone barred from making progress? No. So everyone, the door of progress is there for everyone. And someone who's in a lower position than ourselves, now, tomorrow, they may be in a better position than ourselves. It is a dynamic thing. There are different angles of vision in Krishna consciousness, and they all have their place. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had more of an accommodating mood. And he was much more broad, and he, what are some of those statements he made? We are all brothers in faith, or he was very accommodating of other religions, other faiths. At least in his preaching mode. Of course, in his heart, he was extremely exclusive. But in his approach to the world, in his preaching mode, he was extremely accommodating. Then Saraswati Thakur was not so accommodating. Saraswati Thakur took his stance more on the absolute side. And there's that, we appreciate both sides. It's also necessary to understand clearly the superiority of what this is. And that was more Saraswati Thakur's stance. Goswami Maharaj published that caption in Search for Sri Krishna about Saraswati Thakur. He declared totalitarian war upon all forms of Maya and even all other existing religious conceptions. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, if you didn't say anything other than this about my Guru Maharaj, it would have been perfect, it would have been complete. That he was a fighter. And he was, because it's also necessary to clearly understand, the value of what this is, how high this is. So we see both of these approaches, both of these perspectives, and they both have their place. The relative and the absolute. Okay. Well, we can read a little bit more, maybe. Okay, I'll just read a couple more verses. Mahat sevam dwadam ahor vimuktes tamo dwadam yoshitam sangi sangam mahantas te samachitta prashanta vimanyava suhrida sadhavo ye, from Bhagavatam. It is the verdict of all shastras and great personalities that service to a pure devotee is the path of liberation. By contrast, association with materialistic people who are attached to material enjoyment and women is the path of darkness. Those who are actually devotees are broad-minded, equal to everyone, and very peaceful. They never become angry, and they are friendly to all living entities. Krishna Bhakti Janmamo Hoy Sadhu Sangha Krishna Prema Janmete Ho Punamugyanga. The root cause of devotion to Lord Krishna is association with advanced devotees. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still most essential. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavaj janasya tarha chuta satsamagama satsangamo jarhi tadaiva sadgato paravareshe tvai jayate rati. O my Lord, this is also a quotation from Bhagavatam, O my Lord, O infallible Supreme Person, when a person wandering throughout the universes becomes eligible for liberation from material existence, he gets an opportunity to associate with devotees. When he associates with devotees, his attraction for you is awakened. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal of the topmost devotees, and the Lord of the universe. Another quotation. Ata atyantikam ke mam prichamo bhavato naga samsadesmin kanardo pi satsanga sevadir ninam. O devotees, O you who are free from all sins, let me inquire from you about that which is supremely auspicious for all living entities. Association with a pure devotee for even half a moment in this material world is the greatest treasure for human society. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kata tajjoshanad ashrapa varga vartmani shadhara tir bhaktir anukramishyati. This is a very famous verse, also from Bhagavatam, spoken by Kapila Dev. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. So this is a very nice verse. Srila Maharaj, he discusses it, he quotes it in different places, but in Heart and Halo in particular, he gives some more extended discussion. It's very nice. It's saying that Lord Kapila Dev, he is an avatar of the Lord. He's saying talks spoken about me, by my devotees, they are enriched. They are not, as Srila Maharaj says, they are not just lip-deep words. And conversely, there's another verse, I think of Sanatana Goswami's, which is warned Avaishnava Mudkodgirnam, not to hear Hari Katha from a non-Vaishnav. And this is something especially relevant in India, where there's a culture of making a business of Bhagavatam recitation and other things, So you'll have persons who are, reading, discussing, maybe very expert and scholarly in scriptural matters, but it's not coming from a place of devotion. So this point's being made here. He's advising his mother, Devahuti, hear Hari Katha from my devotees. those talks coming from their mouths, they are enriched with spiritual potency. Hritkarna rasayana kata. They are very nourishing, pleasing to the heart and to the ears. And that hearing, Ch.Ch Joshanad, this Joshanad, is interesting because he doesn't say, like, he doesn't use the word shravanam, like through that hearing, then it lists what the results will be. Liberation, the path of liberation, development of Shraddha, and then taste and bhakti, they will gradually develop. But it doesn't say by hearing that all of these results will come. It says Ch.Ch Joshana means by cultivation of that. And this is the same thing that we were discussing the other day, I think in our Monday Zoom meeting. In the beginning of Bhagavatam, that phrase, shushush, which is very difficult to pronounce. Can you say that word? Shushush means. Which means something along the same lines, saying that who will cultivate, like it's not just saying hearing, not just by hearing this in a passive way, but by hearing and acting upon it, by making it like a part of your life. These teachings are not just things that you'll capture in your head, but they will be expressed in an active and a dynamic way, in a tangible way. It will be cultivated in a very living way. So Ch.Ch Joshana, by cultivation of that, of what you are hearing in those talks from my devotees, the Lord is saying, then, the path of liberation, faith, devotion will all develop from that. Asad sangatyage vaishnavachar shri sanghika sadhu krishna bhakdar. A Vaishnava should always avoid the association of ordinary people. Common people are very much materially attached, especially to women. Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. So this is quite a significant statement. And I think it actually comes up twice. This phrase, asat sangatyag e Vaishnava. There's another place where somebody asks Mahaprabhu, what is the characteristic of a Vaishnava? And he responds like this, asat sangatyag e Vaishnava. To give up bad association. This is the characteristic of a Vaishnava. So like he indicates it's like a primary characteristic. I'm trying to find the place where there is a shloka index. Here, this is the one I want, yeah. It's a very important point, and in Upadeshamrita, we see that this point is made twice, both in the positive sense, to give up bad association is a positive quality, and then it's also mentioned as in the negative sense, in the 6 unfavorable qualities. To maintain bad association is an unfavorable quality, because this is the thing that one may be doing everything on the positive side, but if they're still maintaining association, connection with the negative side, then that's going to inhibit their progress. Like that example is given of the anchor. You're rowing your boat, but you're hooked onto an anchor, so you're not going very far. There's one place. There's one place where. What was I going to say? What was I just saying?
You have an anchor and then you're rowing the boat, but you're not getting very far.
Yeah, that's right.
Place in the book that it says about the association, giving up association.
Oh, one place where Srila Sridhar Maharaj says that that if one can give up all forms of bad association, then they're almost there. Because, we hear that example of Krishna being like a magnet, right? We will if we're free from that rust, then naturally we'll be attracted to that magnet. And the same way, by the purifying potency of devotion, then our layers, they will quickly leave us, and that attraction will automatically take place. But the point is, if we are like resisting that transformation and we're maintaining strong attachment to our association with the negative side, in the different expressions that may be, association with worldly conceptions, that's the main point, the worldly ideas and conceptions, then that creates this resistance. Asat Sangha Jage Vaishnava Char. And then what's this one? Asat Sangha Jag Shri Bhagavata. It's a similar verse to 24. Anyhow, let me just want to check this. 2:24:39. So it's an important thing. It is like another analogy we can give is like if you eat you take so much junk food and then it's time for prasadam and you're full, or your friend has prepared a wonderful wonderful meal for you of organic, healthy vegetables and so on and so forth, but you've just filled up on rubbish, so you're full. You won't be able to, maybe you'll eat something to be polite, but you won't have the proper appreciation that you should have, for this type of preparation. So if we're filling our ears, we're filling our minds, we're filling our stomachs with so many unnecessary things, then the full impact of the positive substance we're receiving, it won't be felt,
So you're saying that worldly association damages lolya?
Yes, absolutely, definitely. Because lolya means hunger, right? So if you're eating lots of other things, then then you'll lose that hunger, right? I can't find this, I'll have to look it up later, because there's another place, as I recall, where somebody asks Mahaprabhu. Do you remember that, Pandita? I'll look it up after the class. But anyhow, we see this point made in several places. The importance of not only taking positive association, but also give up bad association. Of course, that positive association is powerful enough to naturally pull us away, but we have to not be overly resistant of that. And of course, some discipline on our own part, that is also a good thing. It is also a helpful thing. That is what sadhana is. Sadhana means that we may not always feel like doing it. But we'll do it, we will happily do it because we know it's good for us.
It's like the rocket
Okay, well, I would like to continue, but we better stop, because everyone has other things to do. Is that okay? Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Shri Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. Would you like to sing?
Jai Vishakha Didi ki
Jai.
jai.